If you have a fear of flying, then stick with me, because in today's video I'm going to be sharing with you 6 helpful tips and tricks, maybe even some bonus suggestions at the end, on how you can overcome your fear of flying and take that trip that you've always wanted to go on. Let's go.
Oh shit! Woo!
What's up, Rockstars? It's Sam Becker with I Am Capable, and if you are new to this channel, please hit that subscribe button, hit the bell for notifications on future content where I put out content related to building a better mindset so that you can live your best, confident, happy life. Welcome to the next episode in the Overcoming Fears playlist, and today we are talking about flying. The fear of flying has got to be one of the most common fears. I'd be really surprised if it wasn't, because I believe I read something that said about 1 in every 4 people have a fear of flying to some degree. And honestly, I freaking get it, because I was terrified of flying. In fact, I found this picture of me on an airplane looking completely terrified. It was on a flight coming back from Vegas to my home, to where I live in California. So we were barely even on the plane, but regardless, I was terrified to the point of tears, as you can tell. So if you have a fear of flying, then trust me, this video is going to help you, because I'm going to go over exactly what I do every time I fly, and it's going to help you become a confident flyer, just like it did for me. But first, I want to talk to you about turbulence, because I know that seems to be one of the scarier parts of flying, and I get it, but I want to break it down with you and actually show you just how not scary it can actually be, okay? So what is turbulence, first of all? So turbulence is, according to the FAA, this is the exact definition of it, clear air turbulence in air movement created by atmospheric pressure, jet streams, air around mountains, cold or warm fronts, or thunderstorms. It can be unexpected and can happen when the sky appears to be clear. Most would say that turbulence is the worst part of flying, because it kind of feels like you're just going to drop out of the sky out of nowhere. And I know the feeling of flying is kind of awkward in general, like the way it makes your head feel whenever you turn and you suddenly drop and go up and down. It's just such a weird feeling that we're not used to every day, unless you fly every day. But I assure you that you are completely safe when it comes to turbulence. And why do I believe turbulence is safe? Because I said so. I'm just kidding. No, I actually did a lot of research on this topic before I shot this video, and pilots, flight attendants, and articles have all said that turbulence is completely safe, and the plane is just not threatened at all by turbulence. Only people are. So just be sure you follow the pilot's instructions whenever you see the light on, and keep your seatbelt buckled, because that will prevent any and all injuries that could happen through turbulence, okay? So think of turbulence as speed bumps in the sky, just like waves are to a boat, okay? So think about it like that. Think about how cars are built to withstand speed bumps in the road, just like boats are built to withstand waves in the water, right? Airplanes are no different, okay? They're built exactly what they're designed to do. Flying, turbulence included. No amount of turbulence is going to destroy an airplane. So keep that in mind the next time you experience turbulence. Just remember that it's okay. Like, you're fine. It's just airwaves, just a speed bump in the air. So don't stress out about turbulence the next time you experience it. Remember that planes are designed for that. Planes can handle it. Planes are not scared of turbulence. Only people are, okay? And if you are extra worried about turbulence during your ride, you can always ask the pilot. They usually have an idea of how like the airwaves are moving and where turbulence is going to be, what type of ride it's going to be. They usually have an idea ahead of time. They have a map that they can see. So you can always ask them as well, hey, is the trip going to be a safe, smooth, happy ride, or am I going to be freaked out, crying and screaming? You can always ask them that too. My personal tip, I wouldn't ask, because you don't need to be sitting there anticipating turbulence the whole time. And I feel like it's kind of a gamble, if you ask and they say, yeah, we're gonna be great, cool. But what if they say no? What if they say it's not gonna be great? What if they're like, it's gonna be a little bit of bumpy rides? Then you're gonna sit there the whole time thinking, you're gonna be sitting there thinking about the whole turbulence ride and shakiness and everything. You're just gonna be sitting there the whole time worried about it, and you don't need to. So it's a gamble. So ask with caution if you choose to go that route. And check this out. You guys want to know some actual statistics about how safe planes are? Check this out. The odds of you getting in a car accident are 1 in 5,000. You know what the odds are about getting in a plane crash? 1 in 11 freaking million. I knew you're more likely to get in a car accident than you were in a plane crash, but damn, that's a big difference. And I feel like I just shifted everyone's anxiety from flying to driving. So sorry guys, that wasn't my intentions at all. But now I'm curious, are you guys nervous about driving or being in a car? Leave your comments down below. I'd love to hear about it. All right, so my tips on flying. I'm actually kind of weird when it comes to flying and traveling. I think I get more excited about the idea of traveling. I think I get more excited about like the planning and the packing and the booking hotels and booking the flight. That when it comes down to the flight, I'm like, nah, I'm good. I don't want to go anymore. Partially anxiety every time, but it's also because I think that the idea of going on vacation is more exciting than the actual journey of it, which should be the opposite. It should be a package deal. It should be excitement overall. But I'm weird, and of course, it'd be ridiculous if I didn't go. So of course I always go, but still, I don't know why I do that. Anyway, number 1, make a list ahead of time. I like to make a list of everything that I need to bring with me ahead of time because it gives me a little bit more of a wiggle room for things that I might forget. And, it just makes my mind think about what I need to bring. So if I start thinking Monday and I'm leaving Thursday or Wednesday, it gives me those few days to really think about what I need, and it never fails. I always forget something, and I always need to remember to grab something on the last minute, always. But hey, that's my process. My best friend actually makes fun of me because every time we take a trip together, he always brings like a small carry-on, like a backpack or something really simple. And I got my suitcase, I got my bag of snacks and a blanket. And he's like, "Come on, Sammy, what are we doing? Bringing the whole house?" I like to be comfortable, man. I like to have my snacks on the plane in case I need them. Because if you need something you don't have it, then you're screwed. But if you have it and don't need it, you're golden, right? Which brings me to my next tip. Number 2, dress comfortably. For me, I like to wear muscle shirts and shorts. Something simple, like something I'm really comfortable in, something I would just wear around the house, like, and just kind of sit on the couch and watch TV or whatever it is, so that way I don't have to worry about anything else. I'm already comfortable. I'm not wearing a suit and tie. I'm not, dressing to impress. And, you don't need to really be impressing anyone on an airplane, first of all, but you don't need to be wearing, brand new pants that you just bought for the trip because you haven't even broken them in yet. Like if you sit on the plane and you're like, man, I'm actually really uncomfortable in these new pants. Then you're like, damn, this is annoying. And you're stuck the whole ride with the pants on that are annoying, but at least you look good. So I guess I can go either way. But keep yourself comfortable is what I say. Number 3, know what triggers you. Understanding what triggers you will help you beat the anxiety ahead of time. You'll be one step ahead before you get trapped in your head. I'm going to use that from now on. So what I like to do when I first get on the plane is introduce myself. Because if you're the type of person that needs a conversation to distract yourself from the anxiety, then making a friend would be a great way of beating that and staying ahead of it. So I sit down, I say, "Hey, my name is Sam. I'm from the middle seat." And I just kind of spark up a conversation with the strangers next to me. This not only helps my anxiety, but it also helps me feel a little bit more comfortable on the plane because there's people that I briefly met. We had a brief interaction before the flight even took off. So it's like if we choose to talk, we can, and because it would be a lot easier to talk to people that you've already introduced yourself to versus you sat down, hadn't said a word, and all of a sudden 30 minutes into the flight, you're feeling anxious and you're like, "Oh, I need to talk to someone." Now it's kind of awkward because they're in the middle of their book or they're watching a movie, whatever it is. It's just a little bit easier. And to be honest, I've met some really amazing people on flights that I still keep in contact with today, actually. It seems like every time I'm on a flight, I keep in contact with the people that I meet, which is pretty amazing. So it's just interesting to see, there's a fly next to my face. It's just interesting to see where people are coming from and where they're going kind of thing, what their travel experiences are like, because you can learn a thing or two from people. A lot of people I've sat next to are very avid flyers, and I've learned a lot of tips from them. A lot of them are like, "Hey, I bring headphones. Hey, I bring movies, or I bring this, what I bring that." I'm like, "That's a really good idea." So it's just like every time I talk to someone new, it helps me be a little bit more comfortable on a plane. So try that out next time you're feeling anxious or next time you feel like you need to talk to someone, because no one's gonna hate you for introducing yourself. So it'll be there if you need it for conversation, or it won't be. So during the takeoff, I actually don't like to look outside until I know that the wheels have gone up and we're at a decent level in the sky. For some reason, that kind of just like triggers something in me. So knowing your triggers, I don't look. But yeah, I feel like it's kind of cool to look when you get to a certain level, because it's like you're looking down. You're not really at this crazy incline, and you're looking and your head just kind of feels like it's in a weird place. So I know that bothers me, so I don't do it. Sometimes I'll just close my eyes with my back against the backrest and my head against the headrest, and I'll just sit there and close my eyes and wait for the takeoff part to be over with, and I'll just focus on the parts of the trip that I'm most excited about and let that carry me through the 10 minutes of, going up. It just helps me be more excited about it. And actually, Mel Robbins calls this an anchor thought, and you can learn more about that in this video right here. But basically, an anchor thought is exactly what it sounds like. It anchors you back down into the moment, right? And in this case, my anchor thoughts are usually related to the trip. I think that's most important when it comes to traveling, is make sure it's something that you're excited about of the trip. For example, I recently flew to see my sister in Washington, D.C., and because I'd only flown by myself once before, I was fairly nervous and anxious about it. So I had to really, really focus on my anchor thoughts and focus on why I was getting on the plane and why I needed to be excited about it. And so as I was walking onto the plane, I kept thinking about my why. Like, why am I going on this trip? What am I excited about? Where am I going and why? All these questions, right? And in this case, I was excited to see my first ever nephew. So my first newborn nephew, I let the thought of holding him and, seeing him and congratulating my sister take over the thoughts of anxiety and replace it with excitement. Okay, so my piece of advice is for you guys is to find something related to the trip that you're taking and let that be your anchor thought. It'll tell your brain to not be scared, and it'll replace it with excitement. And I know that planes make a lot of weird noises, noises that we're not really familiar with, like we are in a car. Like we can usually tell, oh, that's the sound of a flat tire, or hey, that's the sound of I just ran out of gas again. I should probably put more gas in my tank before I get stranded on the side of the road. You know what I mean? Like it's not the same as an airplane. We don't know. Unless you work on airplanes, then you would know. But since we don't have any control over it, let the professionals take care of it. The pilot's gonna be the one flying the damn thing, and the mechanics and all that stuff, they inspect before and after each flight to make sure they're safe. So all the noises are probably normal. So don't think about that. Think about your anchor thought and keep that the most prominent in your mind. Which brings me to tip number 4. Pack things to distract you. Bring things like books to read, or coloring books, or word puzzles. Because at the end of the day, like, you're kind of just sitting there with yourself, unless you're there with friends and family or whatever. You're kind of like anticipating a quiet journey, because I've noticed that most people like to sit and enjoy their own alone time on planes, and then they sit next to me. Enter Sam. I'm the one that's talking to everybody. So sorry, future neighbors on a plane. Can't help it. That's just what I do. It's my system. It's what I do. Anyway, plus they can be conversation starters as well. It's like if you have a word puzzle. Hey, what's the 4-letter word for dinosaur? Oh, T-Rex. Nice, bro. Did we just become best friends? Yep. You know what I mean? Like, they can be a conversation starter. And if you are easily frightened by sounds, then make sure you bring headphones. Know your triggers. If you don't want to hear it, plug your stuff away. This is a great way to catch up on movies or shows. You can listen to music. That way you won't even hear the sounds that are going on the plane. You'll just be off having a party of one, all on your own. You know what I mean? My best friend actually downloads a bunch of music beforehand. He's like, so what do you need? Because I don't think he likes the sounds either. So my best friend actually stays one step ahead of himself as well, knows his triggers, and will download a bunch of music on his phone for us to listen to. So he's always asking before the trip, hey, what do you want to listen to? So I can start downloading it, which is awesome, because I bring my headphone splitter, which is super handy for plane trips. So if you fly a lot, I definitely recommend getting one of those. I'll leave a link down below as well. It's super cheap on Amazon, but super handy. So we just, we plug our music in, and we act like we're in a rock band together again, which is pretty funny. I'm sure we annoy half the airplane, or everyone, if not everyone, but hey, Whereas in vacation mode, you gotta be excited, right? Number 5, letting go of control. It's all good, okay? So this is probably one of the biggest tips I can give you because it's the one that helped me the most when it comes to my fear of flying. So believing that everything is all good and letting go of control has helped me a lot because it's not my job to be in control. You know, there's professionals that are getting paid to be in control. Great. What does that mean for me? It means I get to sit back and relax and just let someone else drive for once. You know, I don't have to worry about directions. I don't have to worry about pulling over for an ambulance. I don't have to worry about looking out for people when I'm driving, you know, crossing the crosswalk. I don't worry about any of that. All I got to worry about is following the guidelines, keep my seatbelt buckled, and just enjoy the ride. Really, you know, there's nothing else that you can do because everything else is in the control of other people. You're covered. You get to just sit back and relax. So why not just embrace the fact that you have no control over, you know, flying the plane or making sure everyone has their waters and peanuts. You know, you don't have to worry about any of that. You get to sit back and relax. It's all good. You know, that also just means that you get to close your eyes the whole trip if you really wanted to, because you don't have to worry about anything. You know, just being, you're supposed to be fully optimistic about the flight and about the travel, like about the travel journey, where you're going. You know, if there's a sound that you don't like, it's all good. If I get a nervous feeling, it's all good. You know what I mean? Like whenever I feel anxious, I just remember that it's all good because I don't have to worry about anything else. This is all just part of the process. And every bit of anxiety or worry is okay to have, but just count down from 5. Remember your anchor thought, right? And let it bring you back to a state of excitement. You know, regulate your breathing. Remember that everything is all good and that you're safe. And wherever you're going, where you're headed, you're gonna have an amazing time. And it's all good. Number 6, whatever I need can be found everywhere else. So don't worry if you forget something. My therapist actually helped me tremendously with this one. And it seems such a small thing, but you know, if you forget something and you have anxiety, you're like, oh my God, I need that one thing to survive. Otherwise the whole plane's going down and I'm not gonna have a good time. And you know, so it's like to avoid spiraling down that path. I remember that's how the whole list, that's how the whole idea of making a list ahead of time came about, was because of that. I was always worried about what I forgot and what if I needed that, you know, kind of thing. And one day she said, well, what's the worst that can happen if you forget this or you forget that? Do you think that you would be able to find it anywhere else? Or do you think that the one you possess is the only one in the world that you possess? I'm like, no. You know, like she was right, and I never forgot that. That stuck with me. So whenever I worry about whether I forgot something or not, I just think to myself, it's all good. It's all good. It's part of the process, and I'll get whatever I forgot. If I forgot something, I'll get it wherever I'm going, right? And that actually stemmed into something else as well. So I started thinking about, what if I get sick? Or what if I get hurt while I'm on a vacation, while I'm out, you know, in a different state or whatever? You know, I was worried about not having care. I was worried about, you know, not being able to be nursed back to health. And I remembered what she said. Well, do you think that you can't find something that you're looking for over there? So I thought about that in the same way. I'm like, well, do I really think that there's no hospitals and doctors wherever I'm going? Of course there is. So stop worrying about Sam. Stop worrying about dumb shit. It's all good, right? So I can check that off my worry list. And you know what's funny is it's not funny, but actually last year I was in a bad car accident in Texas. And I had to go to the hospital to get checked out because my knee was the size of a freaking water balloon. But, you know, long story short, I realized that I was living through one of my top worries, being sick or injured in a different state away from home. And I realized to myself that it wasn't so bad after all. Like, yeah, the whole thing sucked, but I wasn't really worried about the anxiety portion of it. I was more worried about, like, oh my God, what just happened to us? Are we all okay? Kind of thing. And, you know, there was medical professionals around. My best friend was there, and I was surrounded by some really amazing people that made me feel a lot more comfortable. So it really wasn't all that bad. It was all good. Except for the car accident. That wasn't all good. But the situation, mentally, it's all good. Thank you guys so much for sticking with me to the end of this video. I do have some bonus suggestions for you. Probably don't need to be said. They're probably common sense, but I'm going to share with you anyway because they've helped me a lot when it comes to flying. So, number 1 is get plenty of sleep before you go on any trip if you can. If you're anything like me, I don't get any sleep like the night before because my mind decides, hey, let's be wide awake, let's be excited, and let's just stay up all night because we're excited. So I do try to get good sleep. It's rare, but I try. Secondly, arrive at the airport with plenty of time just in case you get lost or feel overwhelmed. This way you get a chance to recoup and settle into the environment before your trip. They recommend arriving to the airport 2 hours before your flight, just in case there's any gate changes or anything like that. You'll just be one step ahead of it, and you don't have to worry about rushing and running to find your gate or anything like that. You'll have a chance to just sit and focus on your anchor thoughts and be excited about it, and you won't have to be rushed, because being rushed makes my anxiety go crazy, because then I'm rushing to the airport, I'm rushing to check my bags, I'm rushing onto the terminal, I'm rushing to find my seat, and then everyone's looking at you like you're the latest person to arrive. Remember, like in school when you were late and you walked in late and everyone's looking at you? It's kind of weird. So don't be that person on the plane. Just arrive. It'd be good for your mental health and good for everyone else on the plane too. So yeah, do that. And the last, but certainly not least, probably the most important thing is to face your anxiety head on. There's nothing to be ashamed of or embarrassed of when it comes to your fear of flying. Flight attendants already know, they're well aware, and they're well trained and briefed on how to make your ride the most comfortable it could possibly be. So you're absolutely not alone with your fear of flying. So allow yourself to feel what you're feeling, but face your anxiety head on, because that will teach yourself through experience, and it'll give you confidence, and you'll be able to do the things that you were most scared of. And in this case, it's flying. Experience brings confidence. Confidence eliminates anxiety and worry. Because if you're confident about the flight, it means you're confident with yourself. Because eventually you'll get to the point where you're sitting on the plane and you're like, man, it's actually pretty fun. I get to meet new people. I get to do my puzzles. I get to catch up on music and movies. So think about it in a better light. Don't focus on the anxiety. Focus on your anchor thoughts. And remember, you got this. It's all good. Okay? So guys, I really hope this video was helpful. Give me a thumbs up if this resonated with you, and please leave a comment down below on your way out. Let me know your thoughts. Let me know that it's all good. All right? Thank you guys so much for watching, and I'll be back with another video next Monday. Thanks, guys. Bye.